How does radio advertising help a business? Great question, and hopefully I'll be able to sort through some of the things that you could use radio for to leverage for your business, because there's a lot it can do for you. So by the end of this video, I'm going to hopefully give you a whole new perspective on radio. There are some very effective ways to leverage it and use it for your business, as long as you can match up your customers and clients with the radio station demographics. And I'll show you a few examples and how you can be aware of these things and use them to your advantage starting now. One of the biggest, most powerful things about radio is the connection that you end up making through your ads. As much as people won't admit it, they do hear ads. One of the greatest advantages of radio is the plain and simple fact that it is what they call an intrusive media. You can't help but hear it. Now, don't get confused with TV. There are so many times when TV will do something where they'll have these wonderful images and lots of B-roll and glamour shots of whatever the product is, and they'll have, swishing music or maybe heartfelt music or whatever the case may be, and maybe it tells a story in the ad and all this kind of stuff. But the vast majority of people, and you did it too, got up to refresh your drink or go to the bathroom or do whatever it is you wanted to do. And basically that ad, that TV ad, just gave you a 30 or 60-second musical interlude by which to refresh your drink. Got to have some kind of a narration or some kind of an imagery going on that connects you, that grounds you with your listener. And over time, I've said this on previous videos, maybe if you want to check out one of those about radio advertising, one of the key elements is being repetitious in radio. And the only way to be repetitious with radio is to stay on the air. There are times when advertisers have decided to take a break, and then when they come back X amount of months later, 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year later, and start to advertise again, you really are starting from scratch to build that listener momentum, starting all over again, as opposed to just carrying it with you. The best example I can give you is, let's say your car breaks down on the side of the road and you've got to push it out of the way. That first shove is going to take all of your might and all of your strength, and it's going to go maybe an inch. And then your second shove is going to take just as much strength and power, and it's only going to move an inch and a half. And eventually it's going to get a little bit more, but those first few shoves are everything you've got. Ultimately though, you can just keep your hand on the bumper and just kind of jog along and keep the car moving. That's the power of radio. When you start off, it's going to be a few shoves that are going to take all you've got, but eventually it takes very little to maintain your top of mind awareness and your reach into the audience's mind with just a maintenance campaign, keeping a hand on the bumper and jogging alongside. Something to pay attention to and something to be very, very aware of before you think about taking a break or interrupting your radio campaign. One of the other things about radio stations is they break things up into demographics, and those demographics ebb and flow with whatever they're playing. For example, the vast majority of women who buy dresses are going to listen to a more contemporary pop station than a classic rock station. I'm not saying no women listen to classic rock. I'm saying very few compared to pop music. The top hits right now, the Taylor Swift stations and stuff like that, those are the ones that are playing what she wants to hear. So it would be a good idea for the dress shop to advertise on the pop station, not the classic rock station. In fact, you know who listens to classic rock most? 45 to 65-year-old men. Not too many, I'm not saying none, I'm saying not too many men shop for dresses. This is the 21st century. So you're going to reach more women, more of your ideal customers on that radio station than this one. You're going to reach more men here than there. You're going to reach more teenagers, more. The beauty of it all is you can really, really dial in your key client or customer with radio station demographics, and that would be the one that you really want to reach out to and maybe think about advertising with. So when it comes to radio, or even when it comes to video or podcasting, maybe a YouTube channel is in your future, that's the kind of stuff that we cover here for your business. So be sure to like and subscribe. Make sure you don't miss any of the episodes, because we're going to cover stuff that you can listen to today and act on this afternoon. So be sure to like and subscribe. One of the other stunning things, and this just totally blew me away when I first started reading about this, when it comes to radio stations and radio influencing purchases, there are many times when somebody will be on the way to buying something and they hear an ad about that particular product or service, and it influenced the purchase. The one that I know about right off the top of my head, I mean, this is not a blanket statement, but there are tons of examples, but the one I remember the most distinctly is somebody buying a boat. Wanted to go buy a boat, thinking about buying a boat, and on their way to the boat store, heard a boat ad. And it had everything to do with the purchase that afternoon. And more people will say that about cars, about boats, about furniture, all that kind of stuff that people drive to, and on their way they hear an ad influencing the particular purchase that they end up making in an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 4 days from now. It's very, very common. The best thing that I like about radio is the long-term effects, the long-term relationship that you end up building with the listeners. Now, it is also very good for, say, a weekend sale. I hope you're not living and dying by the sale, because sales end up being a price battle, and we all know the lowest price is actually the race to the bottom. Who can hang on the longest until the competition goes bankrupt? That's not a way to run your business. What ends up happening is, with a sale, you need a little bit broader, more urgent to get the word out. Radio is very good for that. Again, like I said, don't live and die by the sale. I hope you use them sparingly if you're using them at all, but radio is a great way to generate urgency, to generate excitement, especially if they do a live broadcast during the sale. That's also a very cool way to, most of the time it generates foot traffic on that time, but a lot of times a live broadcast will come with a lot of advertising to come with it, definitely leading up to the broadcast, during the broadcast, and maybe a little bit after the broadcast, depending on how the radio station structures the package, and you get a lot of advertising in a very short, concentrated time that can do a lot of good. Speaking of your ads, I do have a gift for you. It is the ultimate guide to creating your next radio commercial. Look in the description down below, click on that link and get your copy. I walk you through the entire thing, from the entire market research all the way to actually writing the ad. We cover it all. It ain't short, I'm telling you. I cover it all when it comes to writing your next radio ad. And this is something that if you're going to be on the air, you really should have a copy of it before you get started. So click down below and get your copy right now. I'm Nick Natarella with AdWise Creative. Thank you for watching.